have not been to Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
And welcome to the last week of the regular season, the chaotic regular season of the National Basketball Association, where if you depressingly look back at games the Wolves should have won, they would not have as much drama and stress in their lives this week. So we'll get to our usual State of the Wolves Monday here. Phil Mackey, Judd Zolgad, the sports dad, our executive producer, Dex. But a shout out to MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air to start the show.
Absolutely, Phil, because guess what? MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air, Sports Dad has found his guys when it comes to those three incredibly important things. I've been telling you now, though, they have come to my place a couple times in the last 2 months and done work. They actually fixed my furnace in one day. It went on the fritz. That's not good because at the time it was like 20 degrees outside. They do absolutely outstanding work. The two most important things are trust and quality, right? The quality of their work is great, and you can trust them. Also, Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores have proudly partnered with MSP for the Big Green Egg giveaway. Get $60 off any HVAC or plumbing repair, and you will be entered for a chance to win the Big Green Egg from Fratelloni's, a $1,000 value. Two great family-owned and operated companies. For service with MSP, just give them a call, 651-615-4292, or go to their website, callmsp.com. Callmsp.com. Trust and quality, that's what they're all about.
All right, Dex is going to lead us through the usual overview here, and then we'll get to the various categories, the vibe checks, the favorite, the least favorite current Wolves thing. So deep breath. What does the overview look like right now, Dex?
Okay, so the Wolves are 46-32 on the season. They're 7th in the Western Conference. 7th.
Still 7th.
There is a 4-way tie right now between the Clippers, Warriors, Wolves, and Grizzlies. The Wolves are only a half game back of potentially hosting a first-round playoff series with the 4th seed. Hell, they're 2 games back of 3 seed, but there is a 4-way tie between, again, the Clippers, Warriors, Wolves, Grizzlies. They all are 46-32 entering the last week of the season. The Wolves 9th in defensive rating, 9th in offensive rating, 6th in defensive rating. Playoff odds have, ESPN has it at 95.2 for the Wolves. It's 96% for Basketball Reference, so these are finally mostly mirrored for the first time. The Wolves' LOB chances went up a little bit on Basketball Reference, now 1.4%. Look at that. But just a 0.2% chance on ESPN. And again, if the Wolves began the playoffs today, they'd be in the play-in hosting the Memphis Grizzlies. A monumental, humongous week for the Timberwolves to try to get out of this play-in and still maybe even host a GD first-round series. It's going to be an absolute craziness. So what are the vibes? What are the vibes entering this crazy week?
I want to add one more thing that you shared last week. I think it's because this is the last regular season State of the Wolves Monday, because by next Monday, they'll have finished the regular season. You found I think I found this on Basketball Reference, the percentage chance at each seed right now.
Yes. Yep.
So here's the good news. Now, you got to play the games, but the Wolves have the highest percent of all the different possible seeds. They could hit the 3 seed all the way down to the 8 seed, right? Mm-hmm. The highest percentage they have right now is the 4 seed at 28%. Then it's 24% for the 5 seed, 19% for the 6 seed, 12% for the 7 seed, 7.2% for the 8 seed, and 6% for the 3 seed. So they essentially have the same percentage chance at the 3 seed as they do for the 8 seed. And part of the reason they're protected against the 8 seed is because the Clippers and the Warriors play each other in the last game of the year. And then there's a couple of, like, the Lakers have a gauntlet, and man, a lot of things went the Wolves' way yesterday. The Lakers hit 15 threes in the first half against Oklahoma City and had a 20-point lead halfway through the second quarter. But if the Lakers would have done what they're supposed to do, which is lose to Oklahoma City, but I think they play again tonight against either tonight or tomorrow against Oklahoma City. So yeah, this thing is pretty damn wide open. So Judd, vibe check. Wolves vibes are what?
Wolves vibes are workmanlike. Workmanlike. While there's chaos around them, they're surrounded by chaos. The Wolves, to their credit, in the past week or so, have found themselves in the eye of the storm where there is calm. How so? Because look at their last 2 wins. Brooklyn, not pretty. No one's asking for pretty. This isn't about style points. This is about not losing the type of game that you lost pretty consistently throughout the season, right? Philadelphia, again, way too close. Oh my God, what's going on? But they won the game. They're workmanlike. If you win these games, that's all that counts now. The only thing that we are looking for you not to do is lay an egg and play poorly and lose, right? So I don't care how you beat bad teams. That's not of any importance. What I care about is, do you beat bad teams? And the Wolves have done that of late. And because of that, while there's chaos around them, they are actually insulating themselves a bit by taking advantage of things. So I think that the vibes are, and I say this in a really good way, not a negative way, I think they're really workmanlike.
Yeah, that game against the Sixers got, and of course, Grimes decides to just hit every 3 in the last 3.5 minutes, but because they had a pretty comfortable lead. Wolves are up by 8 or 10 points. And then they do this, though, man, where they think the game is over.
I know.
And so they either get sloppy or take their foot off the gas. And then all of a sudden it's a game again. And unfortunately for Anthony Edwards, who's been terrible in tie games or chance to win situations with under 24 seconds left.
Yep.
That 3 he hit. So they run that inbounds play and the Sixers immediately trap him, and he's sitting there in a corner, and it's oh, what's he going to do? And he just rises up and cashes that 3.
Yep.
It will not go if for the people that are taking the, game on the line, you have to have this shot. They were up by 1 point, and that made it a 4-point game, which did effectively end the game. It does not necessarily help his end of game winning shot statistic, but that's about as clutch of a shot as you can find all year for the Wolves. So credit to Anthony Edwards. Mm-hmm. I'm going to look back one more time on this and say the Wolves vibes are regrettable this week. All those games we've talked about and this team's propensity to just completely lay an egg 6 or 7 different times. The game that Anthony Edwards got suspended before, was it the Utah game after they played the Lakers?
Yes.
A month back or whatever it was. The Bucks tonight, you're going to get that Bucks team that's fighting for seeding. The last time you played them, they didn't have Giannis or Lillard. You're playing them at home, if I remember right, and lost. The Pelicans game, the Pacers game, where they're missing 4 starting players. If you flip those 4 games, you're sitting very comfortably in the 3 seed right now in the Western Conference. So yeah, it's super exciting. They still have a golden opportunity to get one of those top 4 seeds, but it's hard to be sitting here in this crunch of a Western Conference and not think about those games at this point. It's one thing if you lose a heartbreaker to a fully stocked Lakers team with LeBron and Luka or whatever. When you're losing to a Pacers team that's just outperforming you with how hard they're trying with their bench. Yep. So I will dwell on it just one more time here for the last week of the regular season. It is staring you in the face right now, your inability to win some of those games.
That Bucks game is Tuesday night.
Tomorrow night. Yep.
Bucks Wolves.
Yep. Tomorrow night. And so it's tomorrow night, and then you get a night off, and then it's Memphis on Thursday, back-to-back home against Brooklyn on Friday, and then a day off, and then home against Utah on Sunday. Those are the remaining games.
Take care of business.
All valid points, but I feel like positive Phil. I was expecting a more positive Phil to start Flagrant Howls in the state of the Wolves. They're understandably that they'd be in this 3 or 2 seed for God's sakes right now, locked into it if they had finished these games. I'm shocked. I thought we were going to get positive.
He's
Phil
coming
on here.
Positive Phil's. He'll join. He'll join the episode.
I'm a little bit shocked.
He'll join the.
I just sang their praises.
I'll give you a little positive Phil.
Okay.
All right. So everyone's, including positive Phil's screenshot of the standings, cropped out the Lakers in the 3 seed after they beat Oklahoma City last night, because it's you got the 4 through the 8, which is 5 teams are separated by a half game, and then there's the Lakers who are 2 games clear of the Wolves. So I kind of cropped them out, thinking, it's the Lakers winning last night, kind of. Au contraire. So the Lakers get another shot against Oklahoma City, or I guess flip that around. Tuesday night, tomorrow night. Oklahoma City at home is not going to want to suffer the same fate again, even though they've clinched their position. But then the Lakers have to go at Dallas, which is still fighting, and that's a back-to-back for them. You got these old players playing a back-to-back. And then it's Houston and a feisty Portland team, which may actually still have something to play for. No, they were just eliminated over the weekend, so they're kind of dead. But if the Wolves run the table and the Lakers go 2-2, let's say they lose to Oklahoma City in either Houston or Dallas, you could still walk up to that 3 seed. So there's some positive to fill. The 3 seed is still very much in play.
Vibes for me are opportunistic. This is going to be an absolute crazy, chaotic, but fun, hopefully fun week of basketball for the Wolves as they try to solidify what seed they're going to have in the playoffs by next week. So that's my vibe check. What about your favorite Wolves thing? Judd, would you have a favorite Wolves thing to start us off here?
I do indeed. It's very, very simple because this guy's been phenomenal of late. Rudy Gobert is my favorite thing.
Crazy.
He had 18 boards against the Nets with 21 points, and then comes back against the Sixers, 19 boards, 23 points. If he plays like this into the playoffs, he becomes a major problem. Major problem. Because, again, when we think he's going bad, he's still contributing on the floor defensively. Now, it's not stuff that, like, stands out, but, you know, when things aren't going well offensively, unfortunately for Rudy, that does stand out. But he has been a dynamo of late. It feels like he has regained his confidence. That's important. And it also feels like, probably more importantly, his teammates have gained their confidence in him. So I will say that the playoff Wolves become a much different team, a much different factor for anyone to play if this version of Gobert sticks around. And I think that's an incredible positive.
He's been a monster since the back flared up right around the All-Star break, because he sat that Oklahoma City game that they won right before the All-Star break. And then he didn't come back for a month. And it was kind of like, man, is this going to derail his season?
That's what I said, yeah.
And the inverse has occurred. It's like sitting out a month was, maybe it was just like a coincidence, but if it was strategic and everyone kind of got together and said, hey, all right, maybe there was a little bit of a back something, but why don't you just take a month off? Because, you know, you're in your 30s now and we're going to need you. We're going to get to the playoffs and we're going to need you for this run. So since he came back on March 9th, he's played in 13 games. The Wolves are a plus 163 when he's on the court over those 13 games.
Yeah.
Including, there's a couple crazy numbers in here. That second game against New Orleans where they woke up and they're like, all right, we're not losing this team again. They were a plus 34 with him on the court. They were a plus 20 in the win over Phoenix with him on the court. A plus 18 against Detroit with him on the court. These all turned out to be blowout wins. And the rebounding is back to where it was during his peak with like Utah and maybe the second year last year with the Timberwolves. So you're kind of getting like the peak Rudy Gobert, like the prime version of Rudy Gobert here over the last 2 or 3 weeks that we thought was maybe gone forever. That he's like maybe 75 or 80% of the player he was before, and that's still a really effective player. If you're getting this monster, who's also, God, what was the other night? He was, he's had 2 games in a row where he's scored 20 or more points, missing 1 field goal in each of these games. So against Brooklyn and Philadelphia, and I get these are bad teams that are tanking, so grain of salt. He has scored a total of 24 points, 9 of 10 and 10 of 11 from the field. Most of them just close range dunks and putbacks and kind of classic high efficiency Rudy offense.
I think the most important stat though is the rebounds. Because
the offensive,
if he's going to clean up the glass, it changes everything. So congratulations. The old Gobert appears to be back.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to cheat and give you 2 favorite. You want positive Phil? He's going to give you 2 favorite Wolves things here.
Hell yeah.
He's going to cheat the category.
All right.
Number 1, shout out to Jake Painting on Twitter for this one. And I verified this through the NBA stats database. So Anthony Edwards, you might say like as a playmaker, he's averaging fewer assists this year. He's like a half assist per game down from where he was a year ago. On the flip side of that, teams are running doubles at him much more frequently than they did. Look at some of these games where they're just auto doubling him in the second half and just trying to force him to get rid of the basketball. Judd, you'll appreciate this. In hockey, they give you an assist even if you're not the primary assist. If I pass it to Dex and he passes it to Judd and Judd scores, I also get an assist. The secondary, the hockey assist.
He scores! Thanks.
That's right.
Mackey.
I think we have a goal horn in here somewhere. There we go.
Off.
Yeah.
Off. There's he scores! And it's
So,
7-1.
The NBA stats database also tracks hockey assists for basketball players.
Oh, really?
They don't give them out quite as leniently, I think. Like in the NHL, I feel like you can
Hockey's
pass it
cleaned
to
up
someone.
a little bit, but yeah.
They can skate around for a half
There was a
hour,
time.
pass it again. Yeah.
Yep, there was a time.
But Anthony Edwards has the second most secondary or hockey assists in the NBA this season of any player. Only Devin Booker
That's really interesting.
has more secondary assists than Anthony Edwards. So,
Wow.
just think of how many times you watch a game. And I've been critical. Sometimes he needs to be even quicker out of those. Just like literally get that pass out as quick as you can.
Yep.
But they double him. He throws it to someone, and then that guy throws it to Nikhil in the corner, wide open for three. But it all started with the double team on Anthony Edwards and then the spin cycle recovery defense. So Anthony Edwards' second most secondary assists in the NBA and he was 12th last year. So he wasn't like, he was still making plays last year, but he's gone from 12th to second in secondary assists. And then Positive Phil brings this one as well. It's your Wolves since early January weekly update here. Since the second week in January, when the Wolves decided, all right, we've felt this thing out enough, and we're gonna push forward here and become one of the best teams in the NBA. Mm-hmm. The Wolves have the third best net rating in the entire league, behind only Oklahoma City and Boston. They are top 5 in net rating on both offense and defense since the second week in January. And they are tied for the 4th most overall wins in the NBA since the second week in January, behind only Oklahoma City, Boston, and Cleveland, who has a couple more wins than the Wolves over that stretch. So by almost any measurement you can find that encompasses like full team performance, the Wolves, since they cleared the first 2 months out with a new starting lineup and everything, getting used to each other, are a bona fide top 5 or maybe top 3 team in the NBA.
Positive Phil's back. I'm just glad. You
That's
know
right.
what? Give yourself a round of applause. I didn't know
Thank
where
you.
he went. Dex was shocked as well. So was I. There. That's the Positive Phil that we know. Like,
But
play
they're
your
playing
role,
bad.
man.
They're
Play
playing
your
bad
role.
teams recently. Everyone gets to play the same teams. Like every Western Conference team plays
what?
the same schedule. So
I feel like you're the point guard on this show, and you just came down the floor and like jacked up shots, and Dex and I are like, pass the freaking ball. That's not your role. Your role is to set. And now you're back to being point guard Phil, which is Positive Phil.
So yeah, give me this Wolves team against. I was in an argument in my Twitter timeline, not an argument, a healthy debate with some Wolves fans on Saturday, I think it was, and someone said, they said like, boy, like really got to hope to avoid the Lakers in the playoffs. Now it's like if you're doing those mental gymnastics as a fan right now, what are you hoping for? That whether it's the Timberwolves or the Vikings or whoever, like whatever Minnesota sports teams you root for, are you just hoping that they can get in and then like the NCAA tournament? Okay, we are the 1 seed and we beat the 16 seed, and then there was a bunch of upsets that allowed us to play a 9 seed and then like a 12 seed. You're gonna have to face the best teams in the Western Conference, and the Wolves have fared very well against the best team in the Western Conference, even shorthanded.
Yep.
So I don't know that there's any reason. They went to the Western Conference Finals last year. They beat Denver in a Game 7. I say bring anybody on in the first round.
Speaking of that, the fan base that is melting down, concerned right now, the Nuggets fan base. They've lost
As they
4
should be.
consecutive. I guess so. Westbrook didn't talk after he lost the game against the Wolves, and at some point in time, somebody complained to the league and said he's obligated to talk. So he finally talked after the loss yesterday, and it was all just babble. Like, yeah, no. He's a petulant child.
He is. And he was
But
like
the
smiling
Nuggets-
the whole time. He's
The Nuggets are scaring me less and less. Joker is a great player, but I just don't know, man. The supporting cast, it just feels like something's off.
It kind of, yeah. I mean, they still have like 5 really good players on that team. And I don't count Russell Westbrook because Westbrook's a guy in a playoff series. It's been proven time and time again.
Right.
You can kind of just let him be a Tasmanian devil and you back off. If he hits some shots in one game, that's fine. He's not going to hit shots over a 7-game series though.
No.
So, yeah. And right now, and Denver has the Lakers probably have the toughest remaining slate with the games against Oklahoma City and Houston. Denver has, let me pull this up real quick. They've got 3 games left. They don't play again until Wednesday, but it's at Sacramento, which is fighting for like whether they're going to be at home or on the road for that bottom playing game.
Yep.
And then it's a desperate Memphis team. At Houston on Sunday could get tricky because it's possible Houston is just locked into the 2 seed, and then you got to wonder, are they even going to like try hard?
Yep.
But there's a chance Denver could wind up tumbling to the 8 seed if they lose a couple of these games.
And if they just start the playoffs with bad vibes like this, that's great for the conference, right? So it just feels like things are off there.
Yeah. Yep. It's kind of crazy that like the Clippers and the Warriors are kind of the 2 teams right now in the thick of these that are the most unknown to the Wolves because they haven't really gotten to face the fully stocked new versions of these teams.
Right.
And the Lakers too. You kind of know what you're getting in Denver. We talked about that last week. You kind of know what you're getting in Memphis.
Yep.
But it's like, man, the Clippers, if Kawhi is going to play and be healthy, the Warriors with Jimmy Butler, those would be interesting matchups. Mm-hmm. So, okay, before we get to, we'll get to Dex and then we'll get to the least favorite things here. A shout out to Neos Elite Performance, a new partner of ours here with a familiar face leading that company, Judd Lee.
Absolutely. And if you are trying to get an edge in life, the experts at Neos Elite Performance can help you. Chronic pain, slowing you down. Neos's elite cutting-edge regenerative medicine and cellular IV therapy are designed to get you going again without invasive procedures. This is white glove service. In other words, it's delivered to your home. No trips to the doctor's office. The team at Neos comes to you. So if you are dealing with knee pain or making everyday tasks impossible, stop your suffering now. Neos' therapy is designed to reduce pain, restore function, and get you back to doing what you love. No surgery, no downtime, just results. Schedule now at neoselite.com. That's Neos elite.com. And go to their site and check out the cutting edge stuff too, Phil, because it's super, super intriguing. But this is really cutting edge, cool stuff that can get that pain gone for the rest of time for you. Neoselite.com is the website.
Hey, Brickssworth is rocking right now, man. Like we got a couple big home games coming up toward the end of this week, and then playoffs wherever the Wolves land. And Brickssworth has become a go-to spot for pregame before home games and for bellying up with some friends for the away games, which they have on TV. Some of the best wings and Detroit-style pizza you're going to find in the North Loop and in the Twin Cities area, and the signature Nas Reed Hazy IPA, which they will pour you a pint of at Brickssworth in the North Loop. Super close to Target Center and Target Field as well. And now that it's almost patio season, if you have not sat out on the patio at Brickssworth with the skyline, the stadiums and arenas nearby, you got to bring a group of friends to Brickssworth in the North Loop, one of my favorite spots to visit for pregame, postgame, road games, or just on a random Tuesday or whatever. So, all right, Dex, what is your current favorite Wolves thing?
You know, I like that they're using their bench here, and I know in the Nets game, that they basically unloaded everyone in the garbage time, and a bunch of people checked in by the end of that game. But I like that they finally have a legitimate options coming off the bench, and this isn't just running the starters out for 39, 40-plus minutes. I know in the Nuggets game things got weird, but going into the playoffs, you're going to need some depth, and some depth that's also very effective. And the Wolves finally have that. I think they have a lot of different options there, and it depends, on the matchup and how things are going. Foul trouble gets into play. But I do like that going into the postseason here, regardless of where they're seated, they have a really good bench behind their starters that can really give them Energizer Bunny minutes and not shipwreck games. I like their bench heading into the postseason.
Yeah, they've kind of they have a pretty solidified 9-man rotation right now. And Jalen Clark has become the 9th man over everybody else that was an option, like Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr. And there were times in the playoffs last year where you couldn't really play Kyle Anderson in some of those games. You didn't have Jalen Clark. You wind up trading Cat for Julius and Dante DiVincenzo, so you expand your rotation by trading one rotation guy for two of them. So yeah, I don't. It'll be interesting to see, does Finch go from 9 to 8 once he gets to the postseason? I don't know that you have to. Give some of these guys some fresher legs. Mike Conley, by the way, I don't know that he should be playing more than the 25 minutes that he's been playing kind of in the regular season.
He's found a really nice role right now.
Yeah, but they have a bona fide 9-man rotation that's very switchable and interchangeable in some key spots here. And I wouldn't, because the guy that you would pull back on is Jalen Clark. I wouldn't.
Nope.
Give him 7, 10, 12 minutes in playoff games. Energy, defense, go pester a team's hot scorer, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. No, he's great. I think that kid plays like, again, he's 30. I mean, he is, I'm not saying he doesn't screw up, but you don't see him screw up like a rookie would.
Yeah, very much an old basketball soul.
Yes.
Jalen Clark. You know?
And a commitment to locking guys down.
That's right.
Which is awesome.
Got to come up with some more nicknames for him. So, okay, let's go a quick lap around the room here. Your least favorite current Wolves thing.
Okay, my least favorite thing is the past 2 games. Yes, wins, that's great. Turnovers. 17 and 15. They had, in particular, Nas had 5 against the Sixers. Julius had 4 against the Nets. Dante DiVincenzo had 3 in each game. I would like to see the turnovers cut down on, especially in the playoffs. I think that's a little bit high. But despite the fact that they won those 2 games, that is 32 turnovers in 2 games. That is probably more than at this time of year, especially, you would like to see.
Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback off that and broaden it, if I may. So I don't know if you guys have dove into the new Bill Simmons was the executive producer on this new Celtics docuseries that came out just about the history of the Celtics.
I've seen a little bit, not very much.
And there's like 5 episodes out on HBO Max. I'm 2 episodes in. Really fascinating. It starts just looking at the origin of the team and then kind of going through, I'm through the Bill Russell era and Bob Cousy and whatnot. But there's one, they show a clip of the modern day Celtics, and Joe Mazzulla, their head coach, is talking during a team meeting. And I paused it and rewound back because people kind of clown on Joe Mazzulla because he took over, he was new, and he wasn't calling timeouts at the right
He's
times.
got his own style.
Yeah. But they won the championship last year. I think he's much more highly regarded than maybe he was early on. But he's given it to the Celtics in a practice room, and he said, "Winning is a bleeping choice. Too many times we talk ourselves in and out of the things that are the most important." And they didn't get super into the details because they don't want to give too much away. But it's okay. Making the right pass, being unselfish, boxing out, the things that you can think of that would, if you did them every single time, would equate to a better chance to win a basketball game.
Yeah.
Winning is a bleeping choice.
Yep.
That stuck with me watching the Wolves because back to what I was Negative Phil was saying at the top of the podcast here, it feels like the Wolves are talented enough, and when they play with enough energy, they certainly bring the defense. They have athletic ability. They can shoot, all these different things. They've got rebounders. That when they decide to win a basketball game, unless they just can't make a shot, they win a basketball game. When they decide, we're going to beat the Nuggets tonight, we're going to beat Oklahoma City tonight, even though we're losing 2 or 3 starters to injury. Mm-hmm. But then it's it's the 4th quarter against the Sixers, who are actively trying to tank and don't have Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey. It's like they choose not to engage at the level that they need to. So winning is a bleeping choice, is a choice that the Timberwolves need to make more often this week and in the playoffs.
That's perfectly put. But this is the thing about sports that drives me crazy. There will be days and nights in every sport where your talent is off, right? Like what makes you talented is not, to your point, you're not shooting great. Effort is the choice. There doesn't need to be any night that your effort is off.
moving the ball at a quick rate. Yeah.
It like that never abandons you. You allow that to because A, you feel tired, B, you don't, and this is a Wolves thing, take your opponent seriously. So like there will be nights that Ant's shooting is just crappy. But that doesn't mean there ever has to be a night where he doesn't approach the opponent like he's playing the Celtics. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about all sports across the board that drives me crazy is when you can see that choices have been made and they're the wrong choice.
Yep.
I love that.
All right, Dex, your least favorite current Wolves thing.
Least favorite thing, and I don't mean to be putting too much of the cart before the horse here, but just not having Anthony Edwards get so emotional and up in his feelings and up in the referees' faces during either these last 3 games and obviously going in the playoffs too. We just detailed about the want and the will to win. Well, the Wolves, and I forget who said this, but the Wolves are their own worst enemy. Like they've been their own worst enemy all season long in terms of these games that they have dropped.
Sports Dad said it first.
Well, Sports Dad probably said it first.
I said that months ago.
Finchie probably said it. I don't know if it was Dante. I think it might have been DiVincenzo that dropped that a few weeks ago too. But they've been their own worst enemy. So not getting too caught up in their feelings. These are going to be emotional games for sure. There's a lot at stake, but not beating yourselves. Not beating yourselves with the refs. Not beating yourselves with just getting up in your feelings. Please don't. Go out there and do not shipwreck yourselves.
Do you think he's going to pick up a technical at all between now and the end of the season and get suspended for a game?
He better not.
You think so?
There's no reason to. He might, but he shouldn't.
And if he picks one up in the last game against Utah, he would then be suspended for game 1 of a playoff series, right? And then it would reset to the 7 you get in the playoffs.
Well, that's a good question. You're probably right. I didn't even think of that as a possibility.
I just think
you're probably right.
There's definitely, if there were like betting odds on, will Ant pick up a technical in these last 4? He's 1 technical away from his next suspension.
Yeah.
I think
that would be brutal, though, if he did.
It's in play.
That'd be a very selfish move.
Yeah. Yep. So buckle up tomorrow night, not tonight, tomorrow night against the Bucks. And then you get the Memphis game, which I think has been switched now to a nationally televised game. It's a TNT on Thursday night. I'm pretty sure.
I didn't see that, but it makes sense.
2 huge games, and then you're going to be scoreboard watching all the other teams in the Western Conference. So this is going to be a wild week in the NBA's West. All right, dudes, that's your State of the Wolves Monday, the last regular season edition. We'll put a bow on it next Monday, and then we'll preview what's happening. Hopefully they don't have playing games next week. Hopefully it's just like a week of deep breaths. But he's the sports dad, Judd. I'm Phil. That's producer Declan, and this is a Timberwolves Lifestyle Podcast.